Hey all, Hipper here. Today I am going to walk you through the buff to Hipper because I have just recently acquired my second lot of stats from Wargaming that I'm going to compare to my original spreadsheet. And the difference between the two spreadsheets is pretty much that I haven't played any buffed Hipper games in the old spreadsheet, while I have played exclusively buffed Hipper games with the Commander Lucians and an Agile build in the second spreadsheet. So by subtracting those, I know exactly how much better the buffed Hipper is. So I'm going to go through that with you now. So just to show you what I mean, then look here that in the first spreadsheet, the green one, I had 519 battles in Hipper with 293 wins. And then in the July extract, the one I just did, I have played 780 battles with 455 wins. So the difference between those two is 261 battles, and that's a large enough number to be statistically sound, especially because I already have 500 something in the same ship. So I'm going to compare the different variables, and you'll be able to see how much better the buffed Hipper is. Now keep in mind, this is not just about the buff to the reload. It's also that I've played this ship exclusively with an Agile build for these 260 something battles. And prior to that, I tend to switch between Müller and Lucians and the Assure Lane commanders. So this is buffed Hipper with a purely Agile build. So of course all stats I'm going to show in this video here are solo play only, no division or anything else involved. So the first one we'll look at here is the win rate, and you can see it was pretty low at 56% in the first Excel sheet, and by playing another 261 battles it went up to 58. But then I want to know what is the win rate I actually had in those 261 battles, and I can do that by just subtracting the numbers, and it's 62% solo. So when it comes to win rate, Hipper has gone from being one of the lowest tier 7 cruisers to one of the absolute highest ones, with me anyway. 62 is very good for a solo tier 7 cruiser. I think only Atago B is higher at 65, for me anyway. Other players could have different numbers. And Edinburgh probably is 1% higher at 63. So the next thing we'll look at is the average damage per game. And as you can see, that's gone up a staggering 26%, despite having an Agile build, which is usually means just a tiny little bit less damage. But this build here is totally different. The average damage has gone up substantially from 54,000, which was actually pretty low, to nearly 70,000, which is quite a jump. So next up we have the average XP, and this is the base XP. Keep that in mind. And this was actually pretty low from the start, because I think Hipper was one of my first tier 7 cruisers, and I did a fair bit of potatoing in this ship, I'll tell you that. And like I said in an earlier video, I haven't really played it for a year until it got buffed, because I always took out Prince Eugen instead. So I'm not surprised that Hipper did pretty bad in the first Excel dump here. And every improvement here cannot be attributed just to the fact that the ship was buffed. So keep that in mind. Of course, it has helped, but it's not all down to the 1.5 second improved reload or the Agile build. When I put most of those 500 battles on Hipper in the beginning, that was back when tier 7 cruisers didn't have a heal, and they had much slower rudder, and it was just quite a different meta back then, and you can't really compare to the game nearly 2 years later, but I'm still doing it just to give an impression here. but take it with a grain of salt. So next up is average spots of enemy ships, and this is a category that agile cruisers usually do really well in because they are so fast, and the way at least I play them, I get into the middle of the map or the cap as quickly as possible, which means that I usually spot around 2 ships in a cruiser. And that's, if you don't know that, that's actually very high. It's higher than most destroyer mains have their average spots. So just keep that in mind, that you score a lot of XP in a cruiser if you spot enemy ships. So that's one of the reasons that I really like the agile builds. The next category is also a category where agile cruisers traditionally score really well, and that is attracted damage, or aggro as it's called in the spreadsheet. You can see it's gone from 740 to nearly, well, to 900,000, and that's an improvement of 23%, which is massive. And I think that's mostly down to the fact that I now play the ship exclusively as an agile cruiser with the Lycians at the helm. So the next one we'll look at is average kills, and Hipper sits pretty much just a little bit better than most of my cruisers. So it's gone from 0.9 frags, actually not very high. Also, I blame that on my potatoing around in the beginning, and then gone up to 1.1. So that's an improvement of 22%. So in percentage, it's a huge jump as well. But like 0.9 and 1.1, I don't think that makes much difference in real terms. So scouting damage has gone up a staggering 60%. And again, I attribute that to the fact that I play this ship as an agile cruiser now. I don't use Müller at all in those 261 battles. And this is something that also just rakes in the XP. And obviously, anything shot at you that doesn't hit you is a salvo wasted. So the next one is team capping, and these are the points that you've earned capping a cap, basically, along with someone else from your team. So sharing the capping, basically. And as you can see, that's also gone up by 26%, because the improved reload and the agile build just allows you to play Hipper much more aggressively and contest caps right off the bat. 10-second reload is pretty much the magic number to be able to take on destroyers like that. So the next one is not team caps but solo caps, and this one has gone up more than 100%. And again, I attribute this primarily to the agile build, but also the fact that the reload allows you to contest caps, like I said before, right off the bat. 10 seconds really is the magic number to be able to defend yourself against the destroyers in close quarters. And after the buff here, Hipper's reload is well, like at least around 10 seconds. You can make it a lot lower than that. You can make it 8.5 seconds if you really want to. But the build I have, it's about 10 seconds, and that's fine for me. I value the agility over the reload anyway. But yes, you can see a massive improvement there. So like nothing has gone the opposite way. Nothing has gone down since the buff and changing to Lycians completely. So I guess you can say that there's really no downside. The reload buff has simply made Hipper a much more viable ship. I love to play it now, I really, really do. And the fact that it works so well with an agile build also makes it extremely entertaining to play. So that is just a perfect mix. And Hipper is just perfect for the meta right now, because there's so many cruisers out there. And I don't think there's a better cruiser killer than Hipper. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video here, and it gave you some food for thought, and I'll see you out there.